This podcast is dedicated to those who have found their way from fear to freedom and for those who are considering undertaking this amazing journey. This is the Courage to Be podcast, and I'm your host, Tanya Vasallo. Before we get into this episode, I want to share an amazing opportunity, my signature event, Increase Your Income and Impact, which is happening this November 7th through the 9th in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You will walk away from this 3-day in-person event shifting your mindset from not enough money to manifesting on the spot. You'll also learn how to get over your fears, own your worth, so that you can have a greater impact in the world. This event is life-transforming and already filling up. And don't take my word for it, just go to our site and listen to what participants are saying. I'm gifting you an 80% discounted ticket. All you have to do is leave me a rating and review on iTunes. Take a screenshot and email us at help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com and type event discount to claim your discounted ticket. You can also find that email in our show notes. I look forward to being your mentor and guide and transforming your life. See you in Santa Fe. Welcome back to the Courage to Be, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And today we have Christine Curran with us. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you.
I'm excited to hear a little bit. I always like starting out with your journey. What is it that you do nowadays? What has led you all the way up to this point?
Yeah, well, entertainment. I'm all about entertainment. I love enjoying myself and having fun with other people and showing people, educating people along the way on where to eat, where to stay, travel, food, but also other people's journeys. So I, like you, tell people stories, but I do it on TV shows. So I've got multiple national TV shows, Dining Divas, Destination Divas, and now we've just launched our network, the Dining Empire, where we're bringing other third-party food, travel, lifestyle shows to the masses. So
that's fabulous. How did you get started in the entertainment business?
Yeah, I started right out of college. I was a model, actress, TV host. I started interviewing celebrities on the red carpet. Then I started my own modeling company where I booked over 800 models, over a long period of time. I had the Jello Shot Girls, which was my claim to fame in my 20s. Did really well with that, made a lot of money and helped a lot of single moms and college students go to school. So it was a beautiful experience in my 20s, just kind of deep diving into all the different facets of entertainment. And I really liked production because I like storytelling. And I've done so many different TV shows where I interview people, but I wanted to do something more creative with my production talents. And I created the Dining Divas, where it's a women empowerment movement. We bring all these different women from different backgrounds and walks of life together over food, fun, and travel. And then we get to tell people stories along our journey. So we can be telling someone's story in a canoe going down the river, which we've done. Or, we're taking private jets somewhere and talking to somebody, or we're dining. A lot of people dine with the divas, and we have organic, authentic conversations over food in a very fun, sexy atmosphere. So it's just so much more engaging for the audience to watch and a lot more fun. And it resonates with the audience better than just like a microphone interview or, the typical red carpet, type of situation. So
that's fabulous. I want to go deeper into the Dining Divas, but before we go into that, you just mentioned the Jello Shot Girls. Can you share a little bit more with it? Because I think this will be like a stepping stone leading up to why you wanted to do the Dining Divas differently and the Traveling Divas, not, like how it's all evolved. Like, I'd like to hear a little bit more of the journey of how that went on. Because you're saying in your 20s, you look so young to me. So I'm like, wait, how old is she? For anyone that's listening on the podcast, if you're not watching on YouTube, but I'm like, well, Christine looks way too young, when she's saying in her 20s. But what was the Jello Shots, girls, and how did that lead to your modeling agency and all these different things, because it sounds like you're brushing over them like it's no big thing, like, check, I did that and I did that. And this is what I'm focused on right now. But I'd love to hear more about that journey and how it all led to the Traveling Divas and the Dining Divas and what you have planned with all of this. So let's rewind a little bit with it, Christine.
Sure. Sure, I know. Well, I turned 40 this year and my daughter is turning 21 this year. So for me,
Oh
it's
my
like a
God.
lifetime ago, but it was a really huge part of my life. And it actually provided me the opportunity to be able to take care of my daughter as a single mom. And, all of the wonderful experiences that I've got to have was because of that business. So I started that, I was a model and actress, and a lot of people would ask me, like, I would do a lot of promo gigs for different brand companies and liquor companies. They'd ask me for other girls. And I also go dance at nightclubs on the weekends. We're in South Florida, so that's a huge in entertainment. That's a huge part of our entertainment culture and industry. And so I did all of it: the modeling, the acting, the go dancing, and the go dancing. They started paying a lot less money. And I had already been booking models because my promo clients are asking me for my friends to come work with. I need 5 girls. And I'm like, all right, well, if I'm going to book more girls, I'm going to get paid for that. So I started booking my friends and taking a commission. And then at the same time, the go dancing was going, like, first we were getting paid $200 a night. Then it's like 175, then it's like 150. I'm like, I'm not getting dressed up, coming out for 4 hours in the middle of the night and dancing half naked for $150. Like, it's not happening, like in little bras, little shorts, I'm like, not happening. And so I said, listen, this is what I'll do. I said, I will start. We had done these Jello shots at a charity golf tournament that we had as models. We were working. And I said, I will bring these Jello shots in between go dancing for my 15-minute set. I will sell Jello shots, which will be entertaining because they're in syringes, and we're gonna feed it to them, and they're gonna want to take pictures and put it on Facebook because there was no Instagram at the time. We're like, they're gonna put on MySpace and Facebook, and it's gonna be cool. And so now I'm entertaining your clients for the entire time I'm there. So, and it's not costing you, right? And then we get to keep whatever we make. So that worked out. And of course, I didn't tell them that we were making insane money. I was making like $800 a night. And I was like, so then I was like, wow, we could actually do this at all the nightclubs, right? So I started reaching out to different lounges and nightclubs that I had done promos with and just had relationships with, and was like, hey, you want free entertainment? You don't have to pay us at all. We'll come in for free. I'll put them in costumes. They'll go dance 15 minutes an hour. And then the other 45 minutes, we get to sell these shots, which are going to be fun and entertaining. And then we get to keep the money. And they're like, so I'm like, if it's a slow night, it doesn't cost you anything. If it's a good night, we make up for it, whatever. And I ended up doing, like, really a lot of money, a lot of money in my 20s. And so did the girls. All the girls were single moms and college girls. And so I always prioritized them over party girls, and made sure that a lot of girls finished college working for me, were able to take care of their kids and make twice as much money for half the hours than they would if they were bartending at the same clubs that were selling Jello shots. So it was like a revolution in the nightclub industry and back in the day. So I was very well known. I actually had the largest shot company in the United States. So we had some production companies fly in from LA, shoot reality TV shows about us. We were going to manufacture the shot. And then, I just ended up kind of going more into the Dining Divas and was like, I just want to get out of that business. I was in it for a long time. I had my company for 13 years. I did the Jello shots within the company, probably 9, 10 years as a service. And Dining Divas was actually owned by that same company. So Fort Lickerdale was the parent company, and I had different services, and I booked models and Jello shot girls and did big events. And then I started Dining Divas under that umbrella. And then when I saw that that could become its own company, I removed it and put it into its own company, and eventually shut down the whole corporation I had for 13 years and just went full force with Dining Divas. But
Wow, I love this. What I'm hearing as you're sharing that story is just how creative and resourceful you were. It's like a problem shows up and you're like, no, I'm not getting paid what I want to get paid. Let me come up with another idea. So this is fabulous. But beyond that too, is your capacity of caring for other people within the industry, like you're saying, of other moms and, single moms, putting them through college. Talk to me more about that, because I know there's a passion in your heart too for this, of helping other women and empowering other women, and especially single moms. So talk to me about that side of you, Christine.
yeah, well, I was a single mom. I was pregnant at 17. And so I was also a college student with full paid scholarship. So it was a fun time. I mean, I graduated a year early, so I'd started college at 16. So I always had to be ahead of the curve with everything, having a baby, going to college. So it was, very passionate for me, because I know the struggles and the hardships of trying to maintain work life and balance mom life. And it's just a lot. And then college life. So it was nice to see like a lot of these women were just looking for someone who was more flexible. Hey, I need to take off tomorrow because my kid's sick, or I need to take off, today because I have this big test I have to cram for. And so a lot of people don't care about those things. And of course, I understood the importance of it. So I was very flexible with the girls. And if one of the girls came to me and said, hey, I'm having a really bad week, I'm short $500, I need, could you put me at the best shift? I could move people around so I could try to get them the money that they needed. So it was just making sure that everybody was taken care of to the best of my abilities with what I had, right?
That is amazing that you could keep that in mind, because I feel like still, I just had this conversation with my nephew because they are pregnant and they were looking at the maternity leaves for his wife and how horrible the terms are for maternity leave here in the States. And for me, coming from Spain, we have much better. We're still not one of the best countries. I think Northern European countries are much better. But have you seen, like, do you feel like that these women were more loyal to you and were more there with you because you were offering these kind of advantages of, flexibility, listening to them, helping them out, like you were there for them, as an employer? What do you feel is missing for entrepreneurship, in that sense of supporting other women, especially moms and especially single moms, because it is so hard? How do you think we can evolve that more with entrepreneurship and even big corporations too?
Well, I think it's understanding what's most important and valuable to each person. Like, you look at like the disc, the greens and the yellows and the reds and the blues personality types. And, I used to, when I was younger, sometimes like certain people would say things and I didn't really get it. I'm like, I feel like that person's always saying something about their kid or their husband. And it's like a little like, to me, like we all have kids or husbands, like we all have something, family, right? But some people, like that's like they have to say it vocally a lot more than other people, even though it's like understood that we all have families, right, of some sort. And so it used to like kind of, when I was younger, I was like, that's not like an excuse all the time when I'm doing business deals. Like for the women that needed to make money, yes, they're working with me, I'm helping them. But for the people I was doing business with, I was like, why do you always say that? Like as if none of us other people have families, it's like, it's not, it almost seemed disrespectful, like as if you're saying yours is more important than mine. But I realized as I got older that it's actually just the different personality types. Some people, like, they have to say it out loud, like what is most important to them. And if you pay attention and you give them what they want and what they need, that to make them feel that they're being heard and seen, then you're going to get more in return from them. So that whole learning curve for me from my early 20s till now, to almost 40, of just how to engage with different personality types so the people feel heard and seen, so that way you get the most productive side of them for what you need as well, has been, I think that's the most important thing that people don't, especially corporations, but most people just don't really. And it's like, there's certain people who are really big on their time off. Like they have to have their day off. Like I love to work. I work 7 days a week. So I don't really resonate with that. I'm like, take a day off. Like, I mean, I'll go and to go to the beach for 2 hours, but I'm going to come back and do some work. I take my time off, but it's like, I'm gonna go get my nails done or something, but then I'm going to go back to work. So some people need like that full day off or that full weekend off, and that's what's important to them. So when you're really paying attention to what it is that resonates with them and how can you serve them and give them those things that are important to them so they'll be more productive for you, then it was a win-win for everybody. And I think that's something that I've embraced a lot more than most people.
Yeah, that's huge. What I'm getting from that is this capacity of empathy, as well as like your emotional intelligence and being able to pick up on that from other human beings, because what stood out for me is people want to feel heard and seen, and so how do we go down that path? Because I feel like nowadays it's not, to you, it comes easy, Christine, but I don't think the majority of us are even paying attention to those close of us. And I'm talking about like within even our families, with our kids, with our spouses, with our employees or bosses, whoever it is, like even friends, especially with technology nowadays, we get so distracted. Like we're definitely not paying attention, or making someone feeling hurt to feel heard or seen. How can we develop more of that skill that comes so naturally to you?
It's taken me a long time to really grow into it. I'm not going to say that this was just how I always was, although I've always had a very caring heart. And especially when it came to the things that I resonated with, single mom, college student, like obviously those were easy for me to identify and resonate with. Some other things were not as so easy, and I had to start to learn. I think just paying attention to how people light up on certain things they're talking about. Like, and even to your point, like, I mean, I had a meeting the other day where I had two of the people that I work with in the same meeting, and one of them brought a client, and then seeing how, and they're both much older than me. So it's funny, like how I'm paying attention to the body language and the table. And I see the one kind of jumps in to say something like, oh, well, I need to get your number. And I'm like looking and I'm seeing the body language that she's like thrown back, like, hey, this is my meeting. You're here. Like, there's ways to move around in business. And so like, even that, like, that's something I work a lot on with my team. It's like how we're moving together in business. So there's not personality types. One person might be very, hey, like, da da da, and they think that's okay. And somebody else is like, hey, we're building relationships here. This is my relationship. You need to respect my boundaries with. So it's like all of these things in life and business and personal growth. I think a lot of it comes from just being aware, being self-aware and aware, like, what are my boundaries? How do I feel when someone does that to me? And then how is that person, how are they reacting when something happens to them? If you see that they're uncomfortable or it stresses them out a little bit, then that means that that's a boundary that you shouldn't be crossing with them, or that you need to have an open conversation with them. Hey, listen, I saw you kind of got uncomfortable there. Did I cross a line with you? Or tell me how that made you feel so I can be better when I work with you. And that way you'll also work with me better as well. So it's just awareness, just being aware of other people.
We're going to take a quick pause, but I want to come back to this awareness aspect of it. I want to share an amazing opportunity with you. My signature event, Increase Your Income and Impact, which is happening this November 7th through the 9th in person in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You will walk away from these 3 days shifting your mindset from not enough money to manifesting on the spot. You'll also learn how to get over your fears and unworthiness so that you can have a greater impact on the world. These in-person events are life transforming. Just listen to what one of our participants has to say.
Hello, my name is Barbara Marcus. I was delighted to have been invited to join the retreat that Tanya shared with us this weekend. I had no idea what to expect. As a result of this retreat, I found that I have looked at my business so many different ways. I've been able to change my perspective and how I view profitability, how I view gift giving, and how I view my client base, and can't wait to go back to my office to demonstrate and work on all the things I've learned. To be continued, with many thanks, Tanya.
If you found this inspiring, if you'd like to join us in Santa Fe, New Mexico this November, I'm gifting you an 80% discounted ticket. All you have to do is leave me a rating and a review on iTunes, take a screenshot, and email us at help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com and type in event discount to claim your discounted ticket. You can find that email in our show notes as well as the website to our event. I look forward to being your mentor and guide to transform your life. See you in Santa Fe. So let's come back to, you were talking about your capacity to make people feel heard and seen. And one of the things that you mentioned is our level of awareness, is being aware of it. But it seems like you're very good at that. Like you're paying attention. You gave us that example. With your team, do you teach them, or how do you guys communicate and, get your team to be aware and be able to move that forward? Because if you've been so successful, it's also because of your team, and it's the leadership that you carry within your team. So, but how do you transmit that to your team? Like be aware, have a conversation with someone that they felt uncomfortable. Like, how have you achieved that with your team?
It's not always like, butterflies and rainbows. I mean, sometimes you have to have uncomfortable conversations, but, I think always starting off with like a positive note, like, hey, I really like the fact that you do this well, but what didn't work well for me was this, or, just trying to like give a compliment, but then explain why there was another thing that could have been done better to make, our whatever conversation flow. and then like the Diva Network that we started with Adora Evans, like that's why we do Diva training. It's for all of these things, like literally learning how to be the best version of yourself, understanding other people. Like, Adora is great in that space. Like sometimes when I have an issue with somebody, I have to call Adora to be my mediator. We do a mediation. We're like, hey, I'm very upset about something. I need you to help run this conversation so it doesn't go off track. You know what I mean? And so we do a lot of that stuff too. And then we do a lot of feeding things off each other. So if somebody's upset, one thing is no gossiping. Like we try not, like at your highest level, not to gossip. So not to make assumptions, not to make bad, opinions of people, but to say that you're concerned about the way someone's moving or the way someone's talking, or how you felt that reflected on us as a team. And so we talk about something in the highest, best good, verbiage of the problem or the situation. And then what is the resolution of that? So it's not just about the problem and there's a problem and we're just talking problems. Now it's like, this is the problem that I see, and this is maybe a solution we can try to go down this path. So, there's no cookie cutter answer. I know it would be nice if there was, but just trying to handle everything with grace and dignity and, using other people on your team to help whenever it makes sense.
That's great. And do you have like some type of like mission that you guys are all on, or, weekly meetings where you have the Diva networking, like you're saying, I think you can learn a lot from that. And we're going to go deeper into with everything that you've created with the Diva networking, Diva dining, Diva travelings, like all of these things. But what are your protocols, or what have you set up, with your teams, like as you're hiring people? Because you work with a lot of people, is my guess, is, being in production and putting all these things together. It requires a lot of leadership on your part, empathy, emotional intelligence, just all these different skills that you seem to master. And I'm curious to hear more of some of the strategies that you've implemented and put in place for that. So with your team, tell me about your team and what kind of things have you put in place that have been successful that other entrepreneurs could take from you?
Well, for our particular team with the shows, it is women empowerment focused. So we did redefine the word divas to driven, inspiring, visionary, authentic sisterhood. And so obviously that is what we need to live by. So if somebody is not operating in that capacity, then, that's something we have to have a conversation about. But with having that staple, that groundwork of like, this is what we represent, you'll see a transformation in how people have to always go back to that and say, well, that's not very women empowerment like, or we need to, this is what we stand for. And so and it's actually helped a lot of women who normally would handle something differently, handle it better because they know they have a foundation, a root that they're supposed to represent. So I think setting ground work for that, like letting people know, like you represent something bigger than just a company, you represent a movement, something that's inspiring people, something that's changing lives. People will always circle back to that movement and to say, well, am I operating in that light, or is that person not operating in that light? So I think that's a good start. And that's why a lot of companies have mission statements, is for that purpose. And they
That's
work.
great. Yeah. Tell me again, Divas, driven, envision. Well,
Driven, inspiring, visionary, authentic sisterhood.
inspiring. Yeah, see, that's great. So let's talk about how the Divas networking group started, Divas travel, Divas dining, like the sequence of all of this, because I think there's a turning point there with your creativity again, kind of like with the Jealous Girls.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is exciting because now I wanted to work with like women that were more like my peers instead of me just being like the boss of so many women. Although I loved what I did before and I loved working with those women, it was a whole different shift when I started working with women that are older than me or more successful than me, or, in different industries than me. So with that, it's been growth for me because you want to put yourself in rooms with people that you can learn from, right? Not always just be the head honcho. So that's not fun. And so what I've been able to do is bring in all these women that I'm constantly evolving with and learning and elevating with, which has been so exciting and helped the creative of what we've done just expand at a whole nother level, because it's no longer just my creative, like I have a base and then they're all building these branches off the tree that are so like all unique to them. And that's really cool that we've kind of been able to create an ecosystem that other people can tap into, such as Adora Evans. Like she now is running Dining Divas Texas. She's worked with me for the last 2.5 years. She's been on all my productions, all my sets. She sees how I operate, and she's taken all the things that she's learned from me. And now she's running with her own chapter in Texas, and she's doing her own creative, and she's doing it with her own little touches and, special sparkles that she puts on top. And so it's really fun to watch things evolve into something even bigger and better and more than what you can envision. When so many people come together, it's powerful. And then she also brought her 23 years of self-development into the ecosystem by becoming a partner with us and creating the Diva Network. So, it's really fun when people will put all of their eggs in your basket and work with you to take what they have and their creativity and their expertise, and then just continue to build with you, on your foundation. So it's been a blessing just to have all these wonderful women around me. And it's just that everyone's jumping on from all different walks of life, all different industries, all different states, all over the world. And it's just fun to see all the creativity that's been happening from that.
Also, your openness, Christine, don't overlook that. It's great that they're contributing, but your openness, I just want to reflect back, because some people might be like, oh no, like, I want exclusive. It has to run this way. It has to be, but you've been open to see how it unfolds. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, this person's here and this, and, and what can I contribute? So that's huge. And tell me a little bit, how long has it been that you've been running the Divas Dining? It started with Divas Dining, right?
Dining Divas, yes.
Dining Divas, thank you.
Yeah, and it started in Florida. We were on local TV, and then we went to national TV, and then we started the Destination Divas, which is the travel series that just aired on Travel Channel. And Dining Divas is on WeTV, which is Women's Entertainment Network. And then we did some of the traveling for about 1.5 years, and then we started opening the chapters. So we did Dining Divas Texas first with Adora. Then we are doing Dining Divas New York, actually in like 3 weeks, and at New York Fashion Week, we'll be launching that. And then we open Dining Divas California soon, very soon. So
that is great. And then where do you see it all going with the networking now, the traveling, the dining part of it? I mean, it seems like it has so many legs, but what's your vision for it?
well, I will say this to go back to your comment about openness. I learned a long time ago that somebody can do something 70% the way that you want it, or as good as you. That's better than somebody doing 0% of nothing, right? So, like, of course, back, when I was younger, I'd be a little more, like, I want it this way, or I like this, but when you get older and you realize that if you give everybody what they want, then everybody's going to operate in their max capacity. If you try to put people underneath like your thumb or underneath the thumbnail, they're not going to operate at their best. So that's number one. And number two, where we see it going, is we just launched our network, which is the Dining Empire. So under the Dining Empire network, we can have unlimited shows, just like a travel channel or a food network, or a Netflix. Like, we are a network. So we do work with other networks, but having our own network, we have a lot of third-party shows in the travel, food, lifestyle space that are going to be coming onto our network and just being part of our ecosystem and continuing to grow all these branches on the tree that, are making it a beautiful tree.
I love it. This is so incredible. What would you say? I mean, because you've been so successful with every endeavor that you come up with an idea and you're like, oh yeah, let's run with that one. Let's run with this other one. And you mentioned before that you love working, that you don't need to take a day off, like you can go do these things here and there. What do you think is the secret to be able to have that success that you have, Christine?
Well, I mean, it sounds cliche, but they say if you really enjoy what you do, it never feels like you're working. So I intentionally was like, as a single mom, even though I did make really good money and I got to live a great life to a certain extent, I never really got to travel. And I mean, I live in sunny South Florida where it's always vacation, but I wanted to see other things. I wanted to try other things, and I definitely didn't go to like crazy expensive meals. I mean, would take my daughter to like the local, whatever, TGI Fridays or Outback or whatever we would do when I was in my 20s with her. But I just was like, what do I really want for me? And I was like, I want to travel and I want to eat really good food. Like, that's the two things I want for myself. And then what is my give back? And my give back is like allowing other women to have a voice. So a lot of the women on the shows, they've never been on TV before. I train them, I teach them, I give them the blueprint on how to raise money, how to get sponsors, how to, how to speak, how to be engaging on camera. And you'll see the transformation of these women from the time they first started with me till now. It's like night and day. It's wild. Like you're like, wow, I knew you had it in you. But everybody has a little diva in them, right? So that's number two. And then number three is like, what am I giving? Like, what is my why? What is my reason? And my give back to the world? And it's the women empowerment aspect, not, you see all these women fighting on TV and it's like, why? We can be entertainment driven and educational and get just as much viewership as these women that are just arguing and fighting and throwing wine in each other's face. It just seems silly. So, just creating the movement for other people to feel like they're part of something and to be engaged and to be motivated. So
That's great. And what about for your daughter? How old is your daughter now?
she is going to be 21 in November. So,
And what have you passed down to her?
well, I think she is a really old soul. So she's very creative. She's a hippie hip hop dancer. She's got dreaded hair and she hip hop dances with all kinds of like big artists. And she's done some really cool stuff. And now she's a welder. She's going to school to be a welder. So she's very creative in her own ways, a lot more introverted than I am, but she's learned to like come out of her shell a lot more with the way she talks with people and participating in things and hanging out with, people that are thought leaders and like asking a lot of questions. I took her to the Bahamas with me recently on a trip for a production for a new show that we're doing. And it was really cute to watch her kind of like just get real personal with each person on set and like really have heart to heart conversations and get to know them and ask them questions, like deep philosophical questions, and see like what their answers were. And it was like I would like kind of chime in or like let's listen in and see what she was up to, around the corner, peep around the corner. But it was really cute. So I hope and I pray that I'm, opening doors for her to be more assertive and more caring and more, she's a very caring soul, like just in tune with people and energy. And that's really my thing, is I'm all about energy and frequency. And so I hope that that's what I'm passing down to her.
That's fabulous. What has she taught you, Christine? Because I do believe our kids are our biggest teachers, right?
Oh yeah, patience and sometimes to stop and pay attention and be in the moment, because I can be go 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 go. So I do a lot of my downtime is because she's like, making me give her my attention in a way that's like completely unattached to the rest of the world, which I love. So always your kids are your best teacher because they're a reflection of you in a lot of ways, whether it's how you were at their age. And then you're like, oh man, I was like that at my age. So I can't even be mad at you because like, I know where it comes from, and then seeing how you've got to go, oh, that part of my life, I wish I had had a better teacher. So I had been a better example. And so then being able to take that lesson you learned, seeing that they're doing the same exact thing you're doing, and then telling them, hey, just want to let you know, I was like that too, but I don't recommend you being like that because you don't want to be like that. There's a better way to communicate, a better way to respond, a better way to, deal with stress or trauma or anything like that. So all of those things.
Talk to me about courage. How do you embrace courage in your day-to-day life? Again, your success, everything you've achieved, you sound like a very courageous person. Whatever shows up, you're like, okay, having a baby, at 17, I'm moving forward. Let's move to the next thing. How do I solve this? How can we embrace our courage that we need to move forward in life, whether it's in business and life, personal? How do you tackle courage?
I can't say it's easy. Every day there's always stresses that enter our life. There's always obstacles that come, and it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? And I got to say, like, I've really tapped into, like I said, frequencies. Like, I go to bed listening to frequency music, whether I don't feel well, then I listen to stuff that's like health frequencies. If I'm like where I'm stuck in business, I listen to abundance frequencies. If I need to stress relief, and I think finding different ways, I work out a lot. So like, I think finding different ways to keep your stress levels down so you can think clearly, so you can be courageous to attack something. Because if you're highly stressed, you can't think clearly to attack things. So, and I feel like courage comes from confidence, and confidence comes from not being stressed out. because stress is like the killer of everything, happiness and, abundance and just any doors opening. Stress is the number one. You're overthinking in your head, and then that's coming out in your body language and the way you're speaking to people. So, that is my recommendation, is just finding things that help you calm your nerves, and so you can think clearly, so you can be courageous in your choices.
When you just mentioned confidence and courage, which one do you think comes first, courage or confidence?
It's a good question. I guess like confidence. Well, I guess courage first, because if you're courageous to be confident, I think that's usually the order of operations. So you've got to have the courage inside. So I think the learning how to not stress yourself out so you can be courageous, so you can take the leap of faith into whatever it is you're trying to do, so you can be confident in your outcome of what you're creating.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Well, I want to go in two different directions, the energy and vibration that you were talking about, as well as your daily practices. And maybe they kind of intertwine. How do we bring ourselves to be in a high vibe, high energy, attracting mode? That would be the first question. And then I'll go into the other one. So how can we get ourselves into that energy, frequency, vibration, and elevate ourselves?
Yeah, I try to tell my daughter this too, and it's funny because I just really fully really understood this within the last couple years. So I feel like, it's all the things you hear. Like, you can't speak negativity into your life. The more negative that comes out of your mouth, the more that you're go into a low vibrational state. And I tell my daughter this because when she gets upset, at 20 years old, it's like any 20-year-old, and I'm like, you can't talk like that. You've got to be calm with the way you're handling things. Otherwise, nothing's going to get better for you. Like, she had gotten into a car accident, and that was like the worst thing that ever happened in her world. And I'm like, okay, but there's a solution. So let's start with problem solving. First be calm, because all the yelling and screaming, I'm so stressed, that's not going to help anything. So I know you're stressed. I know it's a bad situation. So it's like not speaking bad things into existence, because that's going to keep you low vibrational longer. So it's like always trying to come from a positive state of mind. Like, it's not that I'm so stressed about this. It's like, okay, this is the problem I'm going to tackle today, or this is the situation that I need to focus on, so that way it doesn't cause me any kind of negative, recourse or backlash. So I think that's number one. Just what you say is number one. And then what you do is number two. So obviously working out is very good for the mind, body, soul. I get some of my best ideas when I'm running or at the gym. I'm like literally halfway in a exercise, I'm like, oh, bright idea. And I'm like, write it down on my phone real quick. So I think, taking care of your body. I did this yoga class the other day, and she said, run your body like a business. And I was like, that's smart. She's like saying, if you got to take care of your body the same way you take care of your business. So I think being very healthy and staying healthy is so important for your mental clarity, so you can be at your best, what you're eating, what you're saying, what you're listening to, what you're watching. I don't watch any negative anything. I haven't watched a horror film and I don't even know how long. I just refuse to watch it. I just will try to watch only positive things, or things that make me think or make me grow. So it's a practice. It's an all around ecosystem of practice in your daily life that's going to, get you there.
Yeah. And that's what it all brings up, our energy levels. Let's do another quick pause and we'll be right back. I want to share an amazing opportunity with you. My signature event, Increase Your Income and Impact, which is happening this November 7th through the 9th in person in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You will walk away from these 3 days shifting your mindset from not enough money to manifesting on the spot. You'll also learn how to get over your fears and unworthiness so that you can have a greater impact in the world. These in-person events are life transforming. Just listen to what one of our participants has to say.
My name is Wendy Walker. This has been the most enlightening and transformative event that I have been to in a long time. Working with Tanya and having her walk us through these processes of mindset and beliefs and limitations, and then how to actually build a business has been so rewarding and refreshing. And I look forward to implementing these in my own business to further my success.
If you found this inspiring, if you'd like to join us in Santa Fe, New Mexico this November, I'm gifting you an 80% discounted ticket. All you have to do is leave me a rating and a review on iTunes. Take a screenshot and email us at help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com and type in event discount to claim your discounted ticket. You can find that email in our show notes, as well as the website to our event. I look forward to being your mentor and guide to transform your life. See you in Santa Fe. So we're talking about bringing up our energy and treating our body like our business. I love that line. So you can thank your yoga teacher.
I can't take credit for that one.
Thank her. She doesn't even know that we're using that now, so let her know. But so what are some of your daily practices? You mentioned running, you mentioned going to the gym. Do you do any type of meditations? What are some of the things that ground you and that elevate your energy and your vibration besides not listening to, negative things and all that stuff, but like on a daily basis where you can recalibrate so that some of our listeners can get inspired, Christine?
Yeah, I mean those are my things, and then listening to frequency music. I even have some on in my living room right now. So, I just kind of put it on a low level and just let it like resonate in the house. So I just think that that's my most powerful tool that I use. If I need some inspiration, obviously going to find something online that might get me excited or kind of get me motivated on YouTube or something is always great. If I'm feeling like today, I'm like, I need a little pep in my, almost like I need a little preacher in my life, to get me like going. It's always great to hear people motivational speakers, and then just having a good circle of people around you that you can bounce ideas and feelings off of that can uplift you. I mean, my head of sales team, Wally Waiters, he's great. He used to be a preacher a long time ago, but he's a very motivational person. And he always, like, when I'm feeling a certain way, he knows when I'm feeling a certain way. He can tell. So he's real tapped into energies too. And he'll give me a great motivational little speech real quick and get me like motivated to just go back out there and do it again. So I think having great people around you is absolutely imperative. I can't tell you, when I cut people off that are negative or draining, how much more you'll see your whole life just shift for the better. And so those are all things that you got to do to stay in a good frequency.
I love that. Where are you listening to your frequency music? Is it YouTube or Spotify? I do it on YouTube. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go. We'll have to swap. You'll have to send me some of the ones that you're listening to, and I'll send some of the ones I have to. As we're wrapping up, where can people find you and be part of your community and get to know what you're up to and how all the divas, networking, dining divas, and traveling divas, all of them, how they're evolving? What's one place that people can get in touch with you or be part of your world?
Yeah. So diningempire.com is where you can watch all the shows, and you can reach us at Dining Divas on Instagram, Destination Divas on Instagram. We're all over social media. So anywhere on social is great for connecting, or you can go to our websites, but diningempire.com is our hub. So
perfect. And as I like wrapping up, what's one thing you can leave our listeners with to live a life with more courage?
I mean, you've only got one life, and that means like maybe 80 summers. And, it's like, you just got to go for it. You got nothing to lose, and nobody that's important is going to be judging you. So if they are, they need to go find something to entertain themselves. So worry about yourself and do whatever makes your heart happy and just go after it. Otherwise, you're going to regret it, when you get older. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with us today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
If you like this episode and you'd like to feel this kind of energy live and in person, I want to share with you about my upcoming event, Increase Your Income and Impact, which is happening November 7th through the 9th in person in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You will walk away from these 3 days shifting your mindset from not enough money to manifesting on the spot. You'll also learn how to get over your fears and unworthiness so that you can have a greater impact in the world. I'll gift you an 80% discounted ticket. All you have to do is leave me a rating and review on iTunes, take a screenshot, and email us at help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com and type in event discount to claim your discounted ticket. I look forward to being your mentor and guide to transform your life. See you in Santa Fe.